Okay, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss show. Now, what I wanted to talk about was cartoon characters coming out. Now, I guess today, Velma from Scooby-Doo came out as a lesbian. And I don't have no problem with it. You know, at the end of the day, it's somewhere I'm like, I'm not gonna think about it. You know, even when they were talking about like SpongeBob and they said that he's not attracted to anyone. Here's the thing. I don't care. And it's not to sound disrespectful, like not in a disrespectful way that I don't care, but in a way where I'm like, it's not going to make me like stop watching the show or make me feel a certain way about it. Like, all right, I mean, it's just because my thing is, it's like it's something that wasn't addressed all the way in the beginning. Like, if it's something that was addressed in the beginning, then it shouldn't have been even up for a discussion. It shouldn't be something that's like trending on social media. But for people to like put like cartoon characters like in that category, I'm like, you know, like I was saying, if they come out as like gay or pansexual or a lesbian or transgender or whatever, like, okay, like that should have been somewhere. I'm like, if Scooby-Doo was coming out today, then I'm like, okay, I feel like that's when it should be like discussed. And I'm not overall saying like it's ruining the cartoon, but I just feel like that when creators of cartoons or people, I don't know, they try to like turn that into something, I feel like that they're doing it for attention. You know, like, it's one thing for an actual person, like, let's say, for an example, if it was the actor or, yeah, the voice actor behind Velma, she came out, then I'm like, okay, then, you know, all right, then that's something to talk about. But I'm like, if we're talking about a fictional character that's, I don't know, like, at some point in time, like, I don't know, Scooby-Doo, yeah, Scooby-Doo is going to forever live on, but I'm just saying, it's something where I'm like, I don't know why it should even be up for discussion. Like, who really cares? I mean, like, I guess, I don't know, like if it's something that's being like introduced onto the TV show, because I don't think they came out, yeah, they hadn't came out with no TV show or no movie where it's like talking about that. It's just, I just seen it like randomly trending on Twitter where they was all like, Velma came out as a lesbian or came out as gay, and I'm like, okay, like, I don't know why it's like a big of a deal. Like, that's somewhere I'm like, I would show more support for the people behind it than for the character itself. That's what I'm like, what is that like doing? I don't like, I don't know. Cause then it's like, cause my thing is, it's like, well, like, why? Like, what made her all of a sudden just like today decide that like this is what Velma's been living on for like how long now? Like 70 something years? How long has Scooby Doo been out? Cause what, Scooby Doo came out in the 60s, right? So, like what, 50 years or something like that? I think like 50 or 60 years, not the movie Scoob. So 69. So that movie came out 69. So it's like what, 51 years old. The movie is, or yeah, Velma is like 51 years old. Or unless it was like a comic book or something. I don't think it was. Yeah, I think it was like I think it was a TV show that came out. Yeah, I don't think it had nothing to do with comic books. But yeah, I'm like, I don't care about that stuff, man. Like, not to sound rude or disrespectful, like if you come out, you come out. But if it's like a TV character, that's why I'm like, why is it so like popular? Like, I feel like that actual legitimate person coming out, that should be the stuff that's trending on Twitter. But you're having like, and then I know when they had the whole thing with SpongeBob, they was like, oh, he's not attracted to like anybody or anything. And I'm like, why is this something like, why do people try to like ship off these relationships with like, especially cartoon characters, if anybody, but they try to like ship off these like relationships with them, like, oh, SpongeBob is dating Sandy, or SpongeBob is dating Patrick, or SpongeBob's not attracted to any gender. Well, I can't remember the name that they were calling it and stuff, but I'm like, why is that even a thing? Like, why can't we not just watch the cartoon and then just be entertained? Like, the fact that people sit down and they think about that type of stuff, I guess, like, maybe in a joking way, but if it's like you're being dead serious about it, like you out here starting petitions or you want answers and stuff, I'm like, bro, nobody cares about that. I know when I was a kid, I wasn't caring about that. I was just trying to figure out why did SpongeBob make that food that made his breath stink? Or why did these guys always split up and leave Scooby and Shaggy by themselves? And they were like the weak links of the weak links of the group and stuff. Like, I mean, but they were handling theirs and things. I'm like, I'm asking like questions like that where it's like, it's gonna start up like a fun argument. But I feel like a conversation like that where it's like you go up to your friends and they like, they're not with that. And then you're all like, oh yeah, Velma from Scooby Doo. Turns out that, on July 12th of 2020, and that woman's been like, yeah, she's like 50 some years old or however old she's supposed to be. She randomly came out as gay. That's where I'm like, why is it? Why? Like, that's the type of stuff somebody comes up to me and they say that to me. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't. That's not going to change my mind about the show. I'm not even going to think about that or care about that when I'm watching the show. And even with SpongeBob, what other characters did they do that with? Where they was all like, oh, they turned out to be gay or something? Because I know they've done that with. Let's just look it up. Let's just look it up. Gay cartoon characters. Because they always do that, Mr. Harley Quinn. But then so you never realized her probably. So yeah, they just recently added Velma more 14. So they got like a 14 list thing on this website called Ranker. So Mr. Simpson, who is this? Oh, from Hey Arnold. I never watched that show. I guess like if you can tell, like there's the one character from Family Guy. That guy, he will always like kind of talk slow. He kind of sounded like Cleveland a little bit. I think they might have been the same guy, but you can kind of tell that he was. But you never know. Like that's the type of stuff where it's like, why should it? Why should even if he's not like it's still something that shouldn't matter. Like I guess if you can like see it or hear it, then you like, oh okay. But if you can't, then it's like, why should it matter? Harley Quinn. But then that Suicide Squad, they was all like, oh she's bisexual. Okay. But I remember in that Suicide Squad movie, they had it where she was like in a relationship with Joker. So, but if she's like, yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess her personality can be like she's canonically bisexual. What does that mean? I've never heard of that. I've heard of bisexual, but canonically, I've never heard of that before. Let me see what this is about. List of media portrays as bi. Oh, so it's like for film, podcast, video games. Oh, Jimmy Hopkins from Bully, that video game. Yeah, there were at times where he would kiss dudes. I was like, that's crazy, huh? But no, back on this list. Back on this list. So Harley Quinn, Shigo, oh from Kim Possible. Is that TV show's name? Kim Possible. Yeah, I don't know why I was about to say like Kimberly Possible, but I'm like, nah, that just sounds too long. But anyways, yeah, but I'm like, nobody's not. If you're a kid, you ain't gonna be thinking of that stuff unless you're like thinking about it. But I don't know. I feel like most kids, they're not thinking about that. I know I wasn't when I was a kid. Ray and Stimpy. I guess I don't know. I ain't never watched that show. Ashley Spindly. Isn't that from Recess? The ultimate tomboy poster girl of the late 90s. Ain't that the TV show Recess, though? What's this? Yeah, I'm positive that's from that TV show. That was a funny show, though. I remember watching that show as a kid. But, like, I had never once thought about this girl. Yeah, she's from Recess. But, yeah, I, like, never once sat down and thought about, like, oh, yeah, I wonder, like, it's, like, stuff that you don't think about. Like, that's what I'm, like, with cartoons. Like for kid stuff, because then like I know what most parents, they try to like keep that like relationship stuff like out of their head and things, or if it's like a kid's like, oh, I got a girlfriend at school or I got a boyfriend, it's like they're like joking around, but who knows, maybe they're that type where they're all like, they fell in love when they were in elementary or something. You never know. But I'm just saying, like, I just feel like that it's just with cartoons, I don't know, I feel like that a cartoon should like overall like kind of take their minds off of that. Like, not, and I know people are gonna like take it the wrong way, but I'm like, like, yeah, like if they want to learn about it, they can very well learn about it, but I feel like it should be up to the parents to like teach them that stuff and like understand it and things. But I don't know, me personally, I'm like, I feel like for it to be added into a cartoon, it's like, I feel like a person is just doing too much at that point in time. So then there's like SpongeBob SquarePants. There's like he's not very masculine for a male character. He's soft and he's soft. Why is that even? Oh my god, that is just dumb. They're like, oh, he's not. He's a cartoon character. Is he supposed to be masculine? That's what I'm like. I don't understand that. He's soft. He's SpongeBob SquarePants. Like he's a sponge that lives in the bottom of the sea, talking to a starfish, a squid, and a squirrel. You mean to tell me? Oh, we ain't gonna mention the fact that a squirrel is living in some like cube thing, or not cube, but like some like hamster cage or squirrel cage underwater and stuff, and then she all of a sudden a squirrel that knows karate, and then her best friend knows karate too, the sponge. But like, oh my man, they're like all these things that he's out here hunting jellyfish, and then oh my man, Velma, and that's like this girl is out here to like honestly to speak on all of these characters. So they got Velma, they got Francine Frensky, I don't know. That's a show I never watched. He-Man, Urusula, Elsa. Elsa? Is she? Huh. That's something you don't sit down and think about it, but Raven. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, I know people about like Raven Simone's from That's So Raven, but it's like cartoon characters. But nah, I guess I don't know. Gaston. Okay, but to just go all the way from the start, Mr. Simmons, cartoon. For those that don't know, I'm just gonna say they're a cartoon character, so it shouldn't matter. Mr. Simmons, cartoon character, it shouldn't matter. Harley Quinn, this girl is out here blowing up things. Like, to honestly sit down, she's a villain. Okay, I don't know. Maybe villains be worried about their single life and relationship life, but I'm like, this girl is out here blowing up stuff, killing people, and out here like robbing people and stuff. Like, she's going up against a man dressed up in a bat costume. Like, I feel like that her sexual preferences should not matter. Shigo, didn't really watch that show. Ren and Stimpy, didn't really watch that show. Ashley Spinelli. Okay, the majority of the time we will focus on these kids when it's like during their like recess point of their like school. So I'm like, I don't know. That one that's a little bit hard because it's like she did dress as a tomboy, but I'm like, there's so many girls that know that dressed as a tomboy when I went to school, and yeah, there's like in relationships with like, and then there's like like girls that were just like all girly like, and they ended up being like gay and things. And then there's the girls that dressed up as tomboys, and then they were in relationships with other boys and things, or like they were in a relationship with boys, but yeah, it's like they ain't had kids and all that stuff. Nokama, didn't really know that. SpongeBob SquarePants. Like I said, a sponge living in the bottom of the sea. Should we really worry about him being masculine, soft, or gay, or straight, or any of that? It is a sponge. I feel like SpongeBob SquarePants is definitely one of those TV shows where you as high as a kite, and you's like, bro, imagine if a sponge can talk to, like, fishes and stuff underneath the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants, biggest show. So I'm like, then Velma, they out here tracking down ghosts and people dressed up in costumes. Like, I personally can't be thinking along those lines. Like, oh, I wonder if she's out. I'm like, are they gonna catch the monster that's been chasing them throughout the whole show? That's the main question. I don't think I could care less about her sexual preference. But then next one, Francine Frensky, don't know him. He-Man. I didn't watch He-Man, but I know there was the TV show where he is like saving. I don't know. I didn't really watch the show, so I'm like, I don't really know too much on that show. But anyways, but yeah, I'm like, the man. I don't know. He out here. I would imagine that he's out here saving lives. Like if they did some of that stuff, like where he explores his hidden identity. If it's hidden, that's the type of stuff where I'm like, if I was a cartoon character, or if I was the person behind the cartoon character that created them and all that, I'd just be like, oh, they have no comment on their sexual preference. Like, they don't want to talk about it and stuff. Ursula, I never watched The Little Mermaid. I don't know, I was too busy watching, like, scary movies like The Exorcist and Signs and stuff, so didn't get a chance to watch that. Elsa is the one, let me see real quick, because she's the one that can freeze things, right? Yeah, okay. And then Anna is the other one. Okay. Because I thought, I don't know why I thought Elsa was the other one. Because I was about to say, I'm like, didn't she start dating the one dude or she was going to get married? So what, they talked about that in Frozen too? But did they talk about it in the movie? To show their everything so like they all like the people. I swear, man, they people forever would speak on the Disney character. And I'm like, if I'm the one that wrote the character, I would write whether they're gay, straight, bisexual, all of that. But I'm like leaving it up to other people. That's why I'm like I think that's more so with this episode, like the moral of it. When it's coming from other people, you can't believe them or trust them. Like it could go both ways. Raven, Gaston, I don't know any of those ones, but yeah, it's like that could go either way. I'm like, if I was like, that's what I'm like, if I was the creator of those cartoon characters, I would be like, okay, yeah, they would prefer to not comment on their sexual preference. They would prefer to just entertain people weekly on at 8 o'clock at night and things. They can care. I think for the most part, people can care less about that stuff. So yeah, speak on it. It's just dumb at times, but anyways, yeah, and there's like so many cartoons out there where it's like they don't even talk on that stuff. Like, does it matter? What about the Cat in the Hat? Like, is he gay or is he straight? Like, what's his deal? What about some other cartoon character? Ed, Ed, Nettie. Like some of the characters on there, were they gay and straight? Like, nobody cares. Like, we're watching the TV show for the show entered like for the entertainment purposes only. If they introduce that, if the writers, I feel like it should be up to the writers. If they want to introduce that stuff in there, then they can very well do that. That is up to them. But anybody else speaking on it, that's the type of stuff where it's like it's gonna lead into an argument. I don't know, not with me so much because I'm like I don't care, but I know there'd be people out there that want to argue. I'm like, well, sit down and think about it because you never seen them, and they're like, who cares? I'm like, if we're talking about SpongeBob, I'm like, bro, did you forget the fact that this is some inanimate object that cleans dishes that somehow manages to talk to fishes, a squirrel, and what else? And then in the SpongeBob movie, wasn't he who's the one dude that he was talking to? I can't even think of his name, but he had that TV show with the car. SpongeBob movie 2004. I can't even think of that dude's name. What was that guy's name? I can't even think of it. David Hasselhoff. Yeah, we're talking about a sponge that talking to fishes, squirrels, okay? What else? David Hasselhoff, and he chases jellyfishes and knows karate. Like, we're just going to forget all of that. No, we're going to talk. I'm like, that's the type of stuff. I'm like, bruh. There's so many different things. That's why I'm like, I watch cartoons for the entertainment purposes. I could care less about their sexual preferences and stuff. And I would highly encourage everybody else to be like that because all it just does is just start up unnecessary debates and arguments. Like, I have no problem with, people, like I said, if it's an actual legitimate person, then okay, cool. Do your thing. Live your life. Do whatever you want to do. But when we get, like, cartoon characters involved, I just feel like people are just trying to take it into a much more deeper conversation that it doesn't even need to be in. So that's just how I personally feel. I don't know. I'm not trying to start anything or, ended up having to face backlash or any of that stuff. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want to get into an argument with somebody over some stuff. I'm like, does it really matter? Like, at the end of the day, I feel like we should just overall just continue watching the cartoons and just leave it at that. Like, it shouldn't matter, like, what their sexual preference are and things. But anyways, yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. If you're viewing this on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on the podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. And if you're purchasing tickets from SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It will knock $20 off your first purchase. And that being said, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.